Are you worried about healthcare expenses when you're thinking about retiring in your 40s? Let's talk about it. I'm Nate, I'm the FitfutureMD. Shop at Ensorsale.com and pick you up a cool inspirational t-shirt today. Ensorsale is about rising up from humble beginnings and making something better of yourself. So let's make that happen for you. Go to Ensorsale.com, use FitfutureMD for 20% off. So, what do you do? How do you plan for healthcare expenses when you're going to retire early? Right. Well, if you work for an organization that has a high deductible plan, you can sign up for what's called a health savings account. Now, with the transition into a health savings account, it's so Obamacare came out and they forced you to purchase health insurance, right? So I was like 21 years old at that time. And so I ended up having to get an HSA account. HSA, a health savings account on my high yield deductible plan, right? Because I couldn't pay $300 a month as a college student for healthcare, but I could pay 40 or 50 bucks a month, which is what it was back then, for a high deductible plan. So, but that made me eligible for what's called a health savings account. And the reason that health savings accounts are so good is because it's tax-free going in, it's tax-free as it grows, and it's tax-free coming out as of right now, right? So, you can quickly, with these tax savings and, some sound investments, you can quickly take care of healthcare expenses for the rest of your life, right? So you start, if you start at 18, I personally started at 21, but you can get your, if you're always on a high deductible plan, say $5,000 a year max, whatever it is, you can pretty much get 10 years of that or 20 years of that in a high HSA account within 10 years, right? And that's putting in minimal money, $100 a month, maybe something like that. My employer, when we switched over, they did 500 if you completed their health plan, and then if you put 500, they would match the 500. So that's $1,500 a year for my 500, right? And obviously the maxes are like 7,000 and some change, right? For families. But that being said, you don't have to worry about health care when you retire early or when you're financially independent. When you got 100 grand or 200 grand sitting in the bank, if something happens, right? Now, the problem with the health savings account that I've seen from the people I work with is that they just spend it, right? They're not using it for, it's not really being allowed to be saved up, right? They're having to spend it every year. And I think that comes with age, right? So if you're starting a health savings account in your 50s, you're probably going to spend that money every year. But it's still better than not having anything, right? But it's never going to be allowed to really grow, right? So that's a negative if you're starting late. Right, in this financial independence journey, right? Luckily, it depends on how much income you retire on as well, right? Like, you retire on small income, or called lean fire, or whatever you want to call it, things can get tight, right? And But healthcare is expensive. When you use high deductible plans, you actually realize how much things cost, right? So, you know, for my wife to give birth to my daughter, that cost, that the actual bill from the hospital was $21,000 for a regular delivery, right? And our portion of that with the high deductible plan was $4,500, right? I didn't use my HSA account to pay for that. We cash flowed that, right? So we saved and planned that money, over the 9 months so that could be paid, right? But with that high deductible plan, you actually knew how much the cost was. Whereas if you were doing a PPO plan, you wouldn't even care. It's like, oh, it's $50, $100. I think you would owe 20% of the $21,000 on a PPO plan, right? And just off the top of my head, that would have been about $4,000, right? But you probably wouldn't have known that until you got the bill, right? Because you're on a PPO plan. But the high yield deductible plan, they're sitting down and saying, hey, you're going to owe us this much money at the end, right? Because they want to get their money, right? But so even then, my daughter had to go in for weight checks. Well, those weight checks were $150 a piece, and they're trying to do it 2 or 3 times a week. And I'm like, no. You can't be doing weight checks at $150 a piece when I got a scale at the house, and you're not giving me any different advice about this weight, right? So, you got to kind of keep that in mind. Like, that's really the reason high deductible plans are so good, because you actually figure out what shit's costing you. Like, it's $400 to go to orthopedic surgeon, right? A visit, stuff like that. You're gonna say, well, maybe I'll get it checked out at the regular doctor first, or, hey, you can take 2 x-rays instead of 4. You don't really need 4 x-rays. You should be able to get everything you need from 2 x-rays. Stuff like that. It's like, oh, well, why are you doing one knee at a time when you could do both knees on the same x-ray? Or stuff like that. Stuff like that, right? So that's what health savings accounts, and I can see where you're saying, like, well, I just want to go in there and get the best care possible. Well, you can get the best care possible. You can get good care without having to break the bank, right? Because some things are just unnecessary, right? And all your physicals and all that kind of stuff are free, and most of the time, any preventative medicines are free on high deductible plans. So, keep that in mind as well, right? But basically, if you're worried about healthcare, if you're going to start a financial independence journey, most people will stop the financial independence journey because they have some sort of health issue, right? They got diabetes, they got to have insulin, that kind of stuff. They got an inhaler every month that's $40, $50 a month, that's with insurance, $40, $50 a month. Whatever. They got some sort of medication or health issue that's they in their mind would keep them from having stuff like that. So so that's why a health savings account is so important. I'm Nate. I'm the FitfutureMD. Follow me at Ensorsale.com, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.